I've often said this about diva feuds on the show, haven't I, chums? It really is silly because when you think about it, it might help sales or it might get the product out there. But eventually, the public really don't like it because they either like one side or another. I think the only way that I've ever seen it really executed brilliantly, and I think many of you will agree, even though I now know that this wasn't exactly the feud that they all claimed it was going to be, was on the set of the wonderful 1962 movie, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, starring the brilliant actresses Joan Crawford and, of course, Betty Davis. Behind the scenes, the director Robert Aldrich allegedly had to put up with all sorts of backstabbing, connivery and all that sort of stuff. But as he knew as well, this really helped sell the film. I mean, that's the deal, you're trying to sell it. But of course, they carried it on and this went on and that then became folklore. When you look at the modern world, particularly in, say, the case of somebody like the former royal known as the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, time and time again, her team have literally begged her to do the right thing. Seemingly, though, for whatever reason, she won't. Let me explain. Morning, good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today, and as ever, lovely to have your company. Hope you're all keeping well. It's an interesting story, this, because as I said, when you think there are many opportunities when you're going down in the celebrity world where you could literally turn it around. And, people nowadays, I'm sure it's like this in your part of the world, if a celebrity's been bad or whatever, they suddenly decide to pop up on a reality show so they can show their real self. And you think that's always a mistake because cameras on it 24/7. We've all got foibles, we've all got mistakes, we all have short tempers, and at some point the mask would slip. And I don't mean that cruelly to any of us, but there's moments where we just want to be on our own, cup of tea, looking out into space, and people would say, oh, miserable. And that's people, isn't it? That's human nature. One of the things that happened earlier this year, which apparently really upset Meghan Markle, was the fact that, of course, it emerged that Brooke Shields said that thing about her on a podcast about how she interjected when Meghan, once again, out in some sort of event, I can't remember where, and the thing was she interjected by saying that when she was 9, she was doing X on film, that sort of stuff. And I totally got it. As I said, I've met Brooke Shields, a lovely lady, very nice and down to earth, very self-depreciating. When you think about it, who remembers the Brooke Shields jeans? Do you remember those? And the thing is, she's just had an incredible long career, started out very young. And it was a throwaway line that was really just meant to be fun, throwaway, nothing more, just to break the room up so there's a bit of laughter. As Brooke herself said, it was a serious moment that we didn't really need. We needed something to break up. Nobody laughs at Meghan Markle. And as now we all know, what ensued was the fact that Meghan was furious that somebody had actually interjected on her moment. And remember, this is a story all about her writing to the soap company, which is a complete tissue of lies, because we know what the true story behind that was. It was a class project. But Meghan has rammed it into that head that it was all about her and she changed the world through one letter. And of course, we've all heard it, right? I mean, I think Katie Couric was really stirring the pot when she leaned over and said, would you share with us the story? You think, Katie, I remember you from CBS. You were never kind. You get the picture. So the thing is, I found this quite amusing. Now, behind the scenes, when this exploded, according to a very well-placed source, Brooke Shields was more than ready to put, pen to paper and send over a written apology. As ever, I have to say, allegedly. And they, whatever. Now, the thing was that equally it was suggested from Markle's side that she did the same thing, solidarity. Think the Gwyneth Paltrow video and Meghan lumping the pie in her mouth, right? So think about that, but in written form. This was the idea. Apparently, though, Meghan at the 11th hour, again, I have to say allegedly, didn't think that she needed to write to Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields really should write to her. After all, she stuck her neck out, ruined the moment, and this was Meghan's moment to shine. She didn't do that to Brooke. Consequently, the whole thing fell apart. Brooke Shields, as I say, is a very nice lady. Meghan Markle could have redeemed herself on the world's platform by simply thinking, you know what? Okay, I get it. I understand what you're trying to do. Nothing wrong. We're two women of a certain age. Let's just get on. Even that apparently was one hurdle too much for the former royal known as Meghan Markle, Meghan Sussex, whatever. Neil Sean, Kensington, London.